This is episode 80 of Changing the Face of Yoga. And I'm speaking to Ryan McGraw, who is working to make yoga accessible to people who need some modifications. So let's listen. Hello, and welcome to Change the Face of Yoga, teaching toddlers through golden oldies. I'm very excited to be talking to lots of yoga teachers who will explain their passion for teaching yoga to students with different ages, physical fitness levels, wellness levels, and different goals. They will explain the benefits of yoga for these students and will be including teacher tips and pose modifications. I am Stephanie Cunningham of Yoga Lightness, and I've been teaching over 50s for 10 years. So this area is my passion and the passion of many other yoga teachers that you will be listening to in this series. Thank you so much for listening, and let's get started. This is Stephanie Cunningham, and my guest today is Ryan McGraw. And Ryan earned his 200-hour Yoga Teacher Certificate in 2011 and completed 2 adaptive yoga teacher trainings with Mathew Sanford. He received his master's degree in disability and development from the University of Illinois at Chicago in 2013. And for his master's thesis, he created an adapted yoga manual for people with disabilities. And he's continuing his studies, and he's worked as a disability advocacy and in the activism field for 12 years. And Ryan is going to help us understand how people with disabilities, as with the rest of us, can gain some benefits from yoga. So welcome, Ryan. And is there anything else you'd like to add to that introduction?
No, I think that covers it. Yeah, thank you for having me on, Stephanie.
I'm looking forward to it. I think it's a great topic. So I read your website, and you said that you had gone into yoga to keep yourself strong, and that after a while you realized that you needed to adapt it, and it was equally beneficial. How did you come to that, because I think yoga can be a little rigid sometimes. How did you come to that you knew that you could adapt and it would work for you?
Well, for the first couple years of doing yoga, I wasn't really showing how to adapt. I basically tried to go to the maximum point of the pose. For example, in Trikonasana or triangle pose, I would try to touch the floor, even though that may have been uncomfortable to my body. About a couple years from when I started yoga, I met a teacher in Kalamazoo, Karina, and she kind of taught me how to practice in a chair yoga. She also taught me how to use the props, like for a simple forward fold, and how to use the wall, like for example in triangle, how to support myself with the wall. And that gave me a certain new level of understanding of yoga and how yoga could bring more peace to the body. I learned to bring in the breath more, so it helped enhance my practice.
Okay, great. Now has your manual been used by other people, or Ryan also wrote a book? Is that the basis for your book?
Actually, my manual is right on my website. It's readily available for everyone. And when I teach an adaptive yoga workshop, I hand it out usually by email. So yeah, it's been used by everyone. And I wrote a chapter in the book, Yoga and Body Image. It's a compilation of essays. Am I saying that would accomplish? What's that word again?
Compilation?
Of essays. Sorry, it's a compilation of essays by different yogis who may look different from your average yogi. And I believe it was published in 2015, and they're gonna come. I believe they have already came out with another edition of that book with new essays.
Okay. I'm sorry, I must have read that wrong. But you've contributed to this book. What I know of Mathew Sanford, and there seems to be, it's getting stronger and stronger that yoga is for everyone and that almost everyone can have benefits from it. Is this something that's been going on for a long time and maybe it wasn't really well known, or is this something that's kind of gotten stronger and stronger recently and it's becoming just a regular part of yoga that all of us should be aware of?
I think it has become more stronger and stronger recently. In the past 10 years, Sanford has become a well-known presenter nationally, and especially with the accessible yoga movement now. Jivana, Heyman, the founder of that movement, it has become widely wrote about and talked about within the yoga community. There's conferences now about every 6 months. Just an accessible yoga conference just happened in Toronto. One is happening next weekend in Germany outside of Berlin, and then one's gonna happen in the first weekend in June in St. Louis. So it's really becoming a more mainstream thing, and more teachers are interested in making their classes accessible as well. Another thing is, as yoga becomes more popular, more demographic of people want to do it. So in 1 in 5 people have a disability. So it would only make sense people with disabilities who hear of the health benefits of yoga would want to go into a yoga class. Or not only people with disabilities, but people who may have an injury, people who may be curvy may want to take a yoga class. And that is a thing, curvy yoga. So as yoga becomes more popular, the need is there for the teaching of everyone, not just the 20 to 40-year-olds.
Yeah. Oh, great. So I don't know about you, but my 200 level did not get into any of this kind of detail of how to assist, how to guide people in a class that weren't in that 20 to 40-year-old. So how you're teaching workshops to teachers to give them the skills and tools to help people who are not in this demographic. What does your workshop look like?
Well, it's interesting that you should ask because I just taught this a month ago, and I don't specifically teach to teachers, and I wouldn't call my workshop a teacher training, but I let teachers know that yoga can be inclusive, and I showed them ways to adapt poses. For example, we would do Tadasana seated, and then we would reflect how Tadasana or mountain pose seated is the same as mountain pose standing, and how seated you're just changing the pose a little bit so that the sit bones or the buttocks muscles are your anchors, but the same actions in the upper body are present in that pose. And I really encourage them to see how the similarities and how poses, though we may change the form, the benefits, the same benefits are still there.
Thank you. That was a great explanation. You also do your own chair yoga classes, is that correct?
Yes, I do. I teach at 3 places. I teach at 2 centers for independent living, and I also teach at an assisted living center for seniors.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I teach seniors too, so I understand how beneficial yoga can be if it is modified correctly. So you're an accessible yoga ambassador, is that correct?
Yes.
Yes. And you eat Cheerios for breakfast. I love that. What do you do for what do you think that the Accessible Yoga Ambassador program, what's the purpose behind it and why did you join?
Well, the Accessible Yoga Ambassador was something that came out of the organization Accessible Yoga, and it's really just for those people that want to spread the word about accessible yoga and want to make yoga inclusive and really want to make the yoga studios knowledgeable about that. And as a person with a disability and a yoga teacher too, that's one of my goals, to make accessible yoga commonplace.
Do you think that you're making progress, that we're making progress, that yoga is becoming more inclusive?
We are, yes. Yes, I think we are. And actually, the Yoga Alliance just had a standard review, and it had different work groups. And a few people from Accessible Yoga were a part of that. I was myself part of the Yoga Teacher Qualifications work group. There was 9 different work groups, and we really hope to see some of those inclusive, accessible ideas be included as part of the requirements for the 200-hour training. In fact, I just finished an article that will be published in Yoga International on the need for accessible yoga to be taught in the teacher training.
Okay, great. That would be wonderful. I know, like I said, I didn't have anything like that in my 200 level, or actually in my 500 level. But what would you say that someone who probably isn't going to teach this in this niche, but may have someone who comes to their regular classes? What are the 3 things that they should really know that would make it accessible to someone who had a disability or an injury and would make them feel included in the class?
Well, I think before any knowledge about accessible yoga, just basically how to treat the person when they walk in the class. Don't think, oh my God, they have a disability. Just treat the person as another student, and you can come over and ask them very simply, what do you need? What modifications you need? I think number 2, you would need to just be cognizant that they're in your class. Don't leave them out, but don't draw necessary attention to them. And I think that just offer modifications for them if you see them struggling. For example, if they cannot do Tadasana, if they cannot do a forward standing, offer them a chair, show them the modification. I understand in a yoga class where there may be 10 students and there's one student that may not be able to do it, having that simple knowledge of accessible yoga in the 200 in the back of your mind just would help you to include them. But I think what it comes down to most is just making them feel welcome.
Okay. Yeah, I agree.
But you also need to make them feel safe first and foremost.
Okay, good point. Well, Ryan, this has been a really interesting conversation. I'm so glad that you came on. Is there anything that you feel we haven't covered enough or you'd like to add that you would like the listeners to know?
Not that I can think of at this time.
Okay. Okay, great. I want everybody to have Ryan's website, because remember that you can get access to his adaptive yoga manual, which would be great, especially if you haven't, as a teacher, had a lot of experience in your training with this. And so his website is www.access2yoga.com. And access to yoga is one word, and it's the number 2, access to number yoga. Okay. Oh, my Facebook is very long. I will put that in the show notes. But this has been great. I'm really glad that you came on and talked to us about being open and inclusive to the non-traditional student, shall we say. And thank you so much, Ryan. It's been great. I've learned a lot, and I think that's always the best sign of a good podcast.
Well, thank you so much for having me and allowing me to share about, I think it's much needed. So, yeah, it was great talking with you today.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you for that wonderful interview. If you would like to be a guest on Changing the Face of Yoga, please go to my website, www.yogalightness.com.au, and under the Changing the Face of Yoga tab, you can complete Be Our Guest form. After reviewing the form and finding it applicable to this podcast, we will send you a link to schedule an interview. Please download, review, and tell your friends of any podcasts that are of interest to you and to them. If you would like to contact me, send an email to info@yogalightness.com.au. And thank you for listening to Changing the Face of Yoga.